Sergeant Corey Mills is the most decorated officer in the Metropolis Special Crimes Unit. He's the best of the very best. So when Lex Luthor unveils his latest innovation, the Series Alpha Battlesuit, he's the obvious candidate to take it for a spin. The suit is meant to be the next step in law enforcement, a mechanical miracle that turns one man into an army. It's bulletproof, fireproof, and built for flight. It even comes with built-in rockets, grenades, and a laser powerful enough to mimic Superman's heat vision. Essentially, it's Superman in a tin can, minus the conscience. At first it seems like a success story. Mills pulls people from burning buildings, stops bank robbers, and even saves a lost kitty. All with the precision and flair of a man who's found his calling. Superman doesn't see him as a threat either. He's genuinely happy to have help. Though Mills' handshake, just a bit too firm and a little too performative, hints at what's coming. Because that's the trick with power. It almost never announces itself as corruption. It's presented as efficiency, progress, or even heroism. But it doesn't take much to sour it. The episode that he debuts in, Prototype, sets this up beautifully. Here's a man who's earned his authority and served with honour. He seems to be a genuinely decent person, and yet once he straps into Lex's miracle of modern engineering, you can already feel him slipping away. The Series Alpha battlesuit may be metal and circuitry, but what it really represents is temptation. It's the fantasy that power alone can make the world a better place, and as Prototype shows us, the moment you start believing that, you've already lost. If the Series Alpha battlesuit feels familiar, that's because it's built from the same cultural wiring as half of the 80s and 90s sci-fi canon. The clearest influence, as far as I'm concerned, is Robocop, a decorated officer turned into a weapon by corporate greed. Both men are meant to symbolise progress through technology, and both end up illustrating how progress without conscience turns flesh into property and subsequently profit. LexCorp isn't so different from OCP either. Both believe the world can be perfected if you just replace enough people with machines. But Prototype also borrows from Spider-Man, specifically the Venom symbiote. Like that alien parasite, the LexCorp suit bonds with its host, amplifying his aggression and feeding off his darker impulses. It whispers power and promises purpose, all while eating away at the person inside. Mills talks about the rush, about feeling stronger, faster and more alive while wearing the suit. It's not just the thrill of control though, it's addiction too. Every time he uses the suit, it sinks a little deeper into his psyche, convincing him that he needs it to stay relevant, to stay powerful, and to stay himself. And of course that's how power always works. It gives you everything until you can't live without it. There's also a deliberate parallel to Superman here, as I alluded to earlier. Both men can fly, lift cars and stop bullets, but only one understands restraint. Mills mistakes power for purpose, while Superman treats power as a responsibility. And this contrast is very deliberate, I'm certain. This isn't just a story about technology going wrong, it's a story about might doesn't necessarily make you right. And just to get ahead of the "well actually" crowd, yes, I know that some wikis claim he's similar to a Flash villain called The Suit, a sentient costume possessed by an interdimensional entity. But The Suit's debut occurred in a comic that was released the same month that this episode aired. Anyone who knows how long animation takes will understand how it's damn near impossible for the pair to be linked. So let's bury that myth right here before someone tries to resurrect it in the comments. At first, Sergeant Corey Mills seems like the perfect candidate for Lex's little science project. He's honourable, decorated, and dedicated to protecting the people of Metropolis. Hell, he's even got blonde hair and blue eyes, making him the all-American template. For all his courage and his accolades, he's still only human though, and it doesn't take long before the power starts to go to his head. When he apprehends a group of bank robbers, the job's already done the moment they surrender, but Mills doesn't stop. He keeps hitting them again and again. It's no longer about justice, it's about domination. The news reports on the events as disturbing, but not everyone sees the problem. His wife Trish delights in seeing him on the news, seemingly ignoring the fact that he's just brutalised prisoners. She only starts to worry when he shaves off his trademark blonde locks to improve the connection with the suit. He starts to talk about the suit like it's alive, like it's his partner. He says he can feel it making him stronger every time he uses it, and he's a better person because of it. And that is the language of an addict. Trish notes his mood swings, aggression and obsession and begs him to take time off to let someone else handle it for a while. But you don't tell an addict to take a break from their high. Mills is hooked, not just on the power itself but on what it makes him feel: invincible, indispensable, and like the world really needs him. This is where Prototype really bears its teeth, because as Mills spirals, we see how easy it is to mistake control for righteousness. Power doesn't just corrupt, it convinces you that it's making you noble. The suit feeds his ego, rewires his morality, and before long he's just another weapon with a badge. And then there's Superman, the counterpoint. The man who has more power than anyone else yet treats it as a duty, not a prize. He doesn't lash out in anger, he never hits harder than he has to. He could rule the planet before breakfast if he really wanted to, but he doesn't. And that's what makes him extraordinary. Mills, this bastion of virtue, collapses under the weight of borrowed strength. He thinks it's his purpose, his destiny, and that he'd be nothing without it. Superman, meanwhile, carries infinite power every day and never falls. And I just want to go back to the earlier plot point where Mills decides to shave his head and its symbolic significance. On paper, it's a technical necessity. He says it'll improve his neural connection to the suit, but visually it says something else entirely. The moment he runs that razor over his scalp, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed all-American hero is gone. What's left behind looks familiar though. He resembles Lex Luthor. That can't be an accident. Superman comics have a long history of tying baldness to villainy. Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Parasite, Mr. Mxyzptlk, even Darkseid, I suppose. It's as if the absence of hair in this world represents something more sinister. A sterile, clinical perfection that's come at the cost of empathy. Superman, with his iconic curl, is organic, imperfect, and human. His enemies, smooth and polished, are the opposite. Intellect stripped from compassion and ambition detached from morality. So when Mills shaves his head, he isn't just syncing with the suit, he's symbolically aligning himself with the people who built it. He's becoming a LexCorp product, sculpted in his employer's image. When the flesh and metal fuse, it's also the absolutist ideology taking root. And the change isn't subtle. Mills loses his warmth, his empathy, and the little quirks that made him human. The blonde hero is gone, in his place stands a chrome-plated reflection of Lex Luthor's dream. When he looks in the mirror, he probably sees strength, but what he's really seeing is cruelty. Amidst all the chaos, one man is watching and learning, John Henry Irons, the actual creator of the series Alpha Battlesuit. He does believe in the concept itself, battlesuits that can empower normal human beings, but he objects to launching before they fully understand the impact the suit has on a person's mind. He watches in horror as his creation strips Mills of his humanity. Every day that passes makes the man inside a little smaller, a little colder, until there's nothing left but aggression wrapped in alloy. Irons comes to realise that the suit is a mirror, and what it shows him is LexCorp's soul, and he doesn't like what he sees. When Luthor dismisses his concerns, he resigns on the spot, refusing to have anything else to do with the project. To Luthor, people are prototypes, not partners. They're replaceable, expendable, and disposable. Irons is the opposite, though. He has morals that match his genius, and this is the episode that plants the seeds of the hero's steel. Where Mills succumbs to power, Irons learns from it. He takes the same raw materials and turns them into something noble. If Mills is what happens when technology consumes a man, then Irons is the proof that morality can still master the machine. Although that's probably a topic for a future video. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear more about steel. When Mills goes too far and almost murders a group of car thieves, he's placed on medical leave by Maggie Sawyer. This infuriates Mills, and he refuses to believe that he has a problem. Clearly the problem is everyone else, and so he decides to take matters into his own hands. At this point, he's far past the realm of reason. He's a bully in search of his next target. When he goes on the run, he turns to Lex Luthor for help, who feigns support. Luthor, ever the visionary, handles the crisis with his usual moral backbone. He uses a jamming device, literally jabbing it in his back, and calls in his private security team to clean it up, and hopes nobody finds out. Of course, Mills breaks the jammer by falling on it. Seriously, there's a major design flaw right there. Considering how many geniuses looked over those plans, it's shocking that no one saw that coming. Mills realises that he has no allies and decides to punish Luthor for his treachery by threatening him with his own pet shark. Fortunately, Superman arrives to save the day. What follows is a brutal showdown between Superman and his metal imitator. It's two unstoppable forces crashing through concrete and flames. Mills fights dirty, even blinding Superman with a laser to the face. The kind of move Superman would never stoop to. This further illustrates the difference between the two. Despite all of the things that Mills has done, Superman isn't trying to end him though. He wants to save him. He knows that underneath the suit, there's still a man in there who once wanted to help people. Eventually, Superman overloads the suit with electricity, frying its circuits and leaving Mills comatose, which is pretty ironic when you think about it. The man consumed by power is literally taken down by power. When we see him again, he stares blankly ahead in his hospital bed. He's vacant, but still alive. We're told that he will recover, but it's going to take time. Thankfully, he has his wife by his side to support him. Corey Mills represents the seductive idea that power alone can solve the world's problems. That if we just give people the right tools, the right tech, or the right authority, everything else will fall into place. But power without principle doesn't actually fix anything, it only amplifies what's already there. Mills began as the perfect soldier. He was loyal, brave, and disciplined. But the moment he's given limitless strength, all those virtues collapse. The armour that was meant to protect him becomes the thing that consumes him. He's the prototype not just of LexCorp's weapon, but of humanity's oldest mistake, believing that might equals right.
Okay, that's it for this week's essay. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tell all your friends about me. You know how YouTube works. If you really enjoyed the video and have the means, please consider making use of the thanks button to send a buck or two my way, because every little helps. I offer channel memberships for $1.99 a month. This will get you early access to my weekly video essay, priority responses to your comments, members-only videos, custom emojis, and an icon on your profile indicating that you're one of my people. And special thanks to my channel members. Everyone who was a member at the time of this video's creation is listed on the screen right now. If you want to see your name amongst all these wonderful people, join the channel now.
Next time. When I return on Monday, it'll be time to return to the results of my latest The Batman villain poll. This time we'll be talking about their version of Spellbinder. And next Friday, I want to talk about an unassuming episode of Superman the Animated Series that sowed the seeds for the DC animated universe as we know it. Yes, I want to talk to you about Speed Demons. Hope to see you then.